Paltrocast.
Rufus, it's an honor and a pleasure. And aside from having to do media, good day for you so far?
Pretty good. Yeah. No, I can't complain.
Right. Well, I want to start off by complimenting you on Folkocracy.
Thank you.
Usually the journalist has to go, no, I'm not a fan. No, I'm not a fan. This time we're showering with compliments. And it's cool to see that it's a star-studded affair. When did you actually finish the record?
That's a good question. It's been a while. It's been a few months. I think even I seem to remember it was very hot in New York, so it must have been like in September or something that we finished it. It's had a chance to gestate. and then we've had a chance to really set up a good show that which will be premiered on June 2nd at Disney Hall. So we're very professional.
Always been professional, and you've always been a gravitational pull to other artists. A lot of artists will go, I'm the only artist here. Like, for example, I love David Lee Roth, but the day that David Lee Roth shares the spotlight with another artist will be a full day in hell. You've always kind of been at the center of this great artistic community. Did you know that you want to make such a collaborative record when you finished this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually very pertinent for this album because of I'm trying to engender the whole folk spirit, which is about sharing and harmonizing and being present. It made sense to have, I didn't want this record to be defined as like a duets album. But nonetheless, there are quite a few. But it's more within that folk tradition that I think is actually sorely missed at the moment and highly valuable when you think of how mechanical everything has gotten and how people don't really hang out in the same room anymore. So it's I think it's a good point to take.
In terms of that duet album, that's something you can keep up your sleeve, though, when you want to do your Supernatural Santana album. 3 albums from now, maybe we'll get that. But that says a lot about your artistic career, in that you could do covers along these lines on the folk spectrum. You could do the Judy Garland thing. We kind of never know what kind of Rufus album is coming next. Is that by design?
Yeah, I mean, it's not by design per se, but I think it was the initial strategy that I just kind of accepted and then just moved forward on, which was that I was going to be kind of a type of octopus, a musical octopus, and mainly because it's what interests me. I mean, I get a little I'm easily bored, I guess, by certain things. So I wanted to, mix it up, and in turn, what I found is that the other, elements are therefore influenced by each other. I kind of bring a little bit of opera to my rock and a bit of rock to my folk and so forth. It's like I'm sort of like I feel like a bit of a parasite or something.
No one's going to call you a culture vulture, because it's authentic from my opinion, or from my stance. And it's great to see that you're able to include so many different genres. Like, I never thought that we'd see Susanna Hoffs and Nicole Scherzinger on the same record. That shows multiple generations. So when it comes to your artistic endeavors, I think you've been very prolific over the years. In other words, it's not been a between 8 albums kind of scenario. Are you the kind of artist who's recording all the time, even if they're not using it for an album?
I mean, I'm writing all the time. I seem to have developed a sort of bodily function of sorts in terms of songwriting. It's how I really digest and then alleviate my feelings about the world. So that just happens naturally. I've also taken up drawing lately a lot. I've been doing a lot of illustrations So that's a way to actually kind of cool down the music a little bit, because yes, I have been doing a lot, and it's great, but you know, it's also, you know, whatever. It's you gotta, people have to be able to listen to it all too.
Well, thankfully, without naming names, you're not one of those artists who does 2 or 3 albums a year, because
Okay.
that's too much.
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't
not that I'm slacking Green Day, but when they announced
Ah,
3 albums at the same time, I went, how about one that's just solid?
yeah. Well, I think there's definitely an argument in many cases for people to take 2 or 3 albums and sort of siphon it down a bit to one.
And instead of doing the 3 albums, have the one and then have the deluxe box set for the 15th anniversary because
Yeah,
you
there
had
you go.
leftovers.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Then your publishing deal's fulfilled because they're happy that they got major label cuts.
Yeah.
Now, I have to imagine that you're at the point in your career where it's no longer about the publishing deal, that you're just calling the shots on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm done with I signed a few publishing deals, and I believe I've recouped on most of them. I you know, kind of kept me going somewhat. It was by no means you know, a deal, or whatever, a good deal.
Yeah,
but
that's bad bank.
but I needed the advance at the time, and so forth. But yeah, no, I'm not. I'm debating. You know, they'll come. The publishing question will come up again in a few years. But yeah, at the moment, I'm good.
What I find that artists of your stature, when they have a lot of leftover songs, they kind of go, well, I should get into the co-writing game, you know,
Yeah,
where it's the 1, 2, 3 people in a room with the artist and
yeah.
doing that kind of thing. Was that ever a phase of your career?
Well, I will say that, you know, look, I live in LA, and I have, you know, I just recently, you know, worked with Miley Cyrus on
I didn't
her.
know that. Wow.
Yeah, I played piano for her backyard session, and so we hung out there, and then you know, I certainly, in terms of doing this Folkocracy, you know, seeing Brandy Carlisle, who has this meteoric rise, you know, so I'm in the halls of power, shall we say, um, and uh, and yeah, I wouldn't be averse to having a song on someone's hit record for sure.
For the Miley thing, were you roped in by any chance through Stacey Jones?
No, it was through her manager, David Russell. So no, so yeah, so
Stacey, her drummer, is this magic power broker that people don't
really,
realize that he was the
okay,
drummer in Veruca Salt,
okay,
Cleo, and then he became the American Hi-Fi guy. And when you
wow,
hold on to an MD gig for 15 years,
wow.
obviously you're doing something right.
I think it's a man, Stacy.
Stacey's a man who
Yes,
was
yes,
perfect.
okay. I met him. I met him, yeah, at the rehearsal. I'm now that you mention him, I'm clocking in.
It happens. Well, with all the genres that you've partaken in, did you ever have a metal phase as a music fan?
Uh, I mean, look, I'm not against metal, and but I can't say that I've ever, you know, been struck by it terribly. I think, look, I'm a big opera fan, so
Mhm.
that kind of takes care of my, you know, overwrought anger, Wagner and stuff. So I tend to go Wagnerian when I'm thinking metal.
Well, of course,
Yeah,
classically trained as a piano player, but I
yeah.
just figured a lot of people, when they started out in their early days of piano, they tried to learn Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue on piano for a
Okay.
party trick. Was that
Oh,
ever in your repertoire?
no, that wasn't. I just I was, you know, I was writing my own songs pretty early on. So in fact, I was probably doing that more than practicing, you know, the pieces that
Oh,
I should have been learning. So
and then
uh,
also No Right Now by Van Halen. That's not also in the
no,
repertoire.
I grew up in Canada. We were much more, you know, whatever,
So
bashful.
so I have to make more tragically hip references.
There you go. There you
Is that
go.
what you're
Or
saying?
Blue Rodeo or
Blue
Corey
Rodeo,
Hart,
yeah.
Corey Hart, you know.
Wow. Corey Hart's an interesting one where we in the States look at him as a 1 or 2 hit kind of guy. And
Yeah,
in Canada, the hits never stopped. He's
yeah,
writing for other artists, etc. For,
yeah.
for you and your popularity, and I'm the one calling you popular and
Okay,
acclaimed,
okay.
talented. That's not your words here. Which of the territories for you? And I ask that because if you're a harder rock band, it's usually Germany,
Right.
England.
Yeah.
If you're a singer-songwriter, it's not usually Japan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sadly, I haven't played Japan in many, many years. My first record did really well in Japan. And I would go there seasonally, but it's been a while. I would say if you in Europe, actually, it's an interesting, checkered board, where on one hand, in Spain and Portugal, I'm huge in the Iberian Peninsula, and then right across the border in France, I can't get arrested. I do okay in Paris and stuff, but it's just like
Right.
once you cross that border, it's just like, who's he? And the same with Italy, but then Germany, it's fairly reasonable. I think they've accepted me. England has always been great, and Scandinavia is always a joy. They love me in Scandinavia. My mother actually once said to me that what it probably is that the countries that get me the most and understand me the best are ones that have very, very vibrant folk cultures, actually, when you think of flamenco or you think of English folk rock or whatever. So it's they kind of get that. So the folk thing is actually sort of a key to I think a lot of my European success.
That makes sense. So with Folkocracy is the new record, and you mentioned the
Yes.
upcoming show that you're playing soon. How much of your set list do you intend to be from that record versus your other bajillion albums and hits?
Well, there's two albums actually that we're going to be promoting. I mean, the main one, of course, is Folkocracy. So there'll be a lot from Folkocracy, not all of it. But then the other one is called the McCabe Sessions Road Trip Elegies, and it's this album I made for Audible, actually, or it's songs for an Audible project that I did, and it's a record that is not available anywhere but in the venue that night. We sell them on the road. And it's a beautiful record that I made at McCabe's, a live record of all sorts of songs from all sorts of.
Sorry to cut you off. McCabe's Guitar Shop in
Yeah,
LA?
McCabe's Guitar
Oh,
Shop.
wow.
Recorded it live there. So it's a live record that I'm really happy with, and so that we'll be doing songs from that as well. So you'll have to come and discover it.
Yeah, now I know. Now I'm
Now
less.
I'm pulling a Green Day on you. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fantastic about Audible. To be all name checky, my friend Stacy does a lot of acquisitions over there, and I knew she was always looking for books. And Amazon has a lot of singles and one-offs and exclusives. So I didn't realize that Audible was in the game of that.
Yeah.
Did you know outright, hey, this is an Audible project when you started working on it?
No, I had heard word that they were looking for content, and I had this funny idea hanging around in the back of my head of doing a 10-hour car ride with my therapist from Montreal to New York and recording it, and then interspersing that with music, and they took the bait.
When you have a car session with your therapist,
Yeah.
is it considered 10 hours straight billable like that? Or
well, when Audible is paying, yes.
Brilliant. And then I was also curious, with the different levels of fame and different levels of country, do you do the same set list regardless of where you are in the world? Do you tell them what they're doing, or do you go, well, the first album was big here, so let's build it around the first?
I mean, there's occasions where I shift it a little bit here and there. Like if I'm in France, for instance, I will do more French songs because I speak French.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's very subtle, very subtle. I usually like to dictate the game.
Dictate the game. Is that an upcoming song title of yours? I was in the room, so publishing's 50-50 on that one. Anyway, is there anything in your career that you're still hoping will happen, or is this just the level of fame that you were hoping for?
No, actually, what's happening now, and which I have talked about, though I can't go into detail, but I'm happy to really state it at the moment, is that I'm really aiming my guns at Broadway at the moment. I have several projects that are in the works, and at a certain point I really want to make that push to dominate the Broadway world and the West End, only because it's been something that for years people have told me that I really should do. I mean, or that I have the, my songs have a theatrical bent to them, and they're
Right.
definitely influenced by that genre. So I'd like to really make a college try in that world.
Not
And it's
a
other people of my contemporaries have, Duncan Sheik or Cyndi Lauper and people like that. So
Adam
it's
Schlesinger,
yeah. So
lots of great.
it's I think I should it's a I'm warranted, shall we say.
That makes sense, but not a jukebox musical. All
No,
originals.
it would be all originals and so forth.
Well, last question I have for you has nothing to do with Folkocracy, the McCabe's record, nothing like that. Putting you on the spot here. What's a TV recommendation for me and the wife that we should be digging into?
TV. Well, I really enjoyed the Paul Newman 6-part series that Ethan Hawke made. Yeah, it's called I think it's called The Last Movie Stars or something.
Is that an Apple TV thing?
I'm not sure what it's on, but it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. So it's all about Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, his wife. And it's a great husband and wife movie night and so forth. So check it out.
Well, hey, Rufus, thank you for the many years of great art. It's great. You're the third Wainwright I've had the pleasure of interviewing, but the best. Don't tell the others, okay?
You say that to all the Wainwrights.
I don't. But I look forward to your Van Halen covers record in the near future and your next New York show as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Paltrocast.